Hi, everybody. Welcome to our webinar today. Just giving a bit of time for people to join. So welcome to our webinar today. We are the National Business Support Service, and we're here with our partner KickOff in Business to introduce you to the services that we offer in terms of supporting you to start or grow a business. We'll be telling you how we work on behalf of government to support people across the country. But first, I'd like to explain about the Q&A. So you'll see a live Q&A option for yourself. If you have any questions you'd like to ask during the webinar today, we will pick them up at the end. So I'd like to introduce you to James, first of all, from KickOff in Business, and he will talk you through the fantastic enterprise courses that they offer for people looking to start up. Hi, James.
Hey, Michelle. How are you doing?
Great, thanks very much. Thanks for joining us today.
No problem at all. Pleasure. Right. So I'll kick things off then, if you want me to start now, or do you want to discuss a bit more detail first?
Well, we could start by taking a couple of polling questions from attendees
That'd be
today,
good.
just to find out a bit more about who's joining us on the webinar. So our lovely colleague Amanda will be sharing a question for you, so you'll be able to answer on screen shortly. All answers are in. So we have an even split of 50% people who've run a business before, 50% who haven't. So dead on 50-50 there. Mandy, would you mind sharing the next question for us, please? Okay, answers coming in. So looks like 20% of you have had some kind of business support or training previously, and the rest of our guests today have not. Okay, so thanks for coming along. We hope we can start your journey with a bit of support and information here. And then we'll just carry on to the third question if we can, Mandy. Okay, so we've got a mixture here. Fifth of you are in your planning stages, and then another fifth of you are ready to go. So you've put some time in already. You're ready to get started. And then we've got just over half of you who've been trading for over 6 months already. So you're off the starting blocks. Okay, that's a nice mix. So we'll just run through a couple more before we get started. Mandy, would you mind sharing the next one, please? Okay, so a fairly even split of people who are quite unsure about things at this stage, and some people that think that they're getting there but maybe need a bit more support. Okay, and then our last question for today will give us a bit more insight into what aspects of starting up or running a business you're looking to focus on for yourselves? Okay, I think everybody's come back to us there. Quite a mixture again. Tax and bookkeeping. That's a very common one, I would say. Finding funding and finding customers. Okay. Right. Well, that gives us a bit of background. Thanks very much. So I'll hand over to you, James, for you to tell us about what you're doing at Kickoff in Business.
No problem at all. And yeah, I agree that gives us a fantastic starting point and insight really into the individuals that we've got online with us today. And thank you and welcome again to all of you. I'm just going to speak 5, 10 minutes around a program that we've got on offer for you. So it's a fully funded program. This, so everything I'm going to be discussing is a funded program and free and available for you guys to engage in. Um, all around kind of the start process. So becoming self-employed or operating that capacity, or in fact starting your own business, or running your own business and developing that further, because some of you are already in the phase where you've started or registered or founded that business already. So I'm going to share my screen, which kind of just has a bit of a slide deck to the foundation of the discussion. Feel free throughout to add any questions into the chat. We'll come to them at the end. Um, but as I said, not going to bore you to tears. Hopefully, it's quite an engaging 5 minutes of your time, just to go through the actual program itself, who we aim to support, and kind of what we do at Kickoff in Business. So, Michelle's absolutely right. I run a program called Kickoff in Business. As I've mentioned already, really designed to support people in that early embryonic stage of startup, or running their own business. We've been going about 10 years now. And we simply empower people to launch their own business or become self-employed. We've supported about 10,000 people within that time, across England primarily, looking at the key fundamentals of startup or becoming self-employed. Kickoff in Business is the down-to-earth insider's guide to starting a great business that thrives without having to take over the world, dance to the Lord Sugar's tune, or go cap in hand to the dragons. And it's a really important point that I think self-employment business startup is over glamorized. And what we do really well is we start to cut through some of that jargon and that approach, to allow you to focus on the key areas of consideration that you need to understand and look into or turn into, at that point in your journey, versus a lot of kind of confusion and other things that you maybe don't need to familiarize yourself with at that point in the journey or startup process. So it's for anyone who wants the freedom of running their own business without worrying about whether they're changing the business world. And this comes from kind of and there's references here to Dragon's Den and The Apprentice. And whilst I like those programs from an entertainment point of view, I don't think they're particularly helpful for the startup or self-employment community. It almost over glamorizes self-employment and business startup. And whilst we do support people that have got brand new blue sky business ideas, we want to promote self-employment as an alternative to employment. So it's an alternative to getting a job, creating a lifestyle income, turning a hobby or an area of interest into something that could be commercially viable. So it's really, really important that we adopt that approach and people see enterprise and business startup in the same way they might see looking at other opportunities in employment or further education, perhaps. So, as I mentioned again a second ago there, if you want to launch an airline, okay, you've come to the wrong place. We help the other 99.9% of the startup community who wish to set up a conventional business in an emerging or traditional market. And what we mean by that is that we support 99% of people that are looking to break into what you and I would probably class as a self-employed associated sector. Okay, so 95% of the people we support, or even more than that, are looking to operate in a self-employed capacity, in a sector that already kind of carries that self-employment association. And that could be looking for something more flexible in their work environment, could be something like turning a hobby or an area of interest into something that could be commercially viable. It could be a long history or a small history in employment in a certain sector that you'd like to offer in a self-employed capacity or start your own business. We support people fundamentally with those key considerations, skills, and knowledge to do so. So the course itself is a 2-week full-time online commitment. Okay, so put it really, really simply, we do expect interactivity and a live online environment, okay, for a 2 week commitment in time. So it's live interactive in terms of its delivery and delivered by business owners. So people that have had that first-hand experience in starting and running their own business, being able to offer that personal insight and understanding alongside the professional teaching and learning is invaluable to the nature of support that we deliver. So it is very much a full-time commitment, but live interactive, similar to this webinar today, really, in terms of how it's delivered and kind of how that comes across. It's not death by PowerPoint. There is lots of activities, breakout rooms, lots of breaks as well throughout to stretch your legs and whatnot. But yeah, it's very much a kind of 2 week live interactive commitment. As part of the program, as I mentioned, it's free and fully funded. We use education as a mechanism and framework to deliver the valuable support that we provide, and therefore you will receive 3 accredited qualifications upon successful completion of the program at the end of that course. So it does carry some qualifications in enterprise and business startup too, which I think are really, really valuable when it comes to furthering your career or furthering your business venture. The intake, just that note at the bottom there, the intake is weekly as well. So we've got opportunity for you to engage in this program every single week. So lots and lots of opportunity to come onto these courses. Okay, so what's covered? I mentioned about this is the one-stop shop to starting a business or becoming self-employed. These are the key topics and considerations that we cover on program. I'm not going to go into these into massive detail, but if you roughly think one of these sections or one of these bullet points is a kind of day of the course, that would be pretty accurate in terms of the representation there. So a 10-day program across the 10 different sort of topics that are covered. And as you can see, they're the kind of fundamentals of startup, fundamentals of becoming self-employed, and all the considerations that wrap around that. So that should give you an insight into what we deliver on program. And it's really important to stress that I'm mindful that half of you guys have already started your business. A lot of these topics and considerations are appropriate for people that have already started. Perhaps you need some reassurance around what it is you're doing. Perhaps it is, you need some steer and direction on a number of these key areas, but validation on others just to ensure that you're on the right road and you're on the right track to development and success. So it is very much appropriate for people that are in that embryonic stage. Typically, we talk about embryonic stage in the kind of first 12 months. That doesn't alienate people that have gone beyond that 12 months, though. So if you have been trading for more than 12 months, you can still access the program. But it's just to say that the vast majority of people we support are in that first 12 months of trading, or they haven't started yet. Okay, eligibility. Talked about the kind of typical profile of person that we maybe support, talked about the various topics that we cover and the typical sort of businesses that we help start up. Eligibility, though, is just this is the stuff that is directly associated to the funding that we've got to support you. Okay, so you've got to be over the age of 19. You've got to have lived in the UK for the past 3 years. And then for quality and accessibility reasons, you need to have access to a laptop or computer and simply have a business idea or self-employment idea. Okay, that doesn't need to have been developed yet, doesn't need to have been started, but you do have to have an idea or an area of interest to attach the business acumen and teaching and learning to. See a bit of a steer there. So that's the eligibility. This is the fundamental expectation of anyone coming onto our program that you would need to meet to be able to qualify. So that's a bit of an overview of KickOff in Business, what we've got to offer, the live interactive 2 week course delivered by business owners, completely free and fully funded to residents of England. So if you want to take a quick picture or use your camera to scan that QR code, that'll link you right through to the website where you can express interest. Okay, you are able to do that now. If you are joining the webinar from your phone, you might not be able to use that camera function, and therefore just take a picture perhaps or make a note of the website, which is kickoffinbusiness.co.uk. You can express interest via that website, and one of my engagement team will be in touch imminently to advise next steps. So got a bit of feedback, by the way, on the line. Don't know if there's somebody else that's unmuted or something. So Beyond registration of Kickoff in Business, just to touch on a couple of other bits before I finish and I answer any questions. I can see there's a couple of notes in the chat, which is welcomed. Keep questions coming through. Um, if you'd like to obviously make a note of that, if you have already scanned the QR code, then obviously you've got the website there for you to express interest. Beyond Kickoff in Business, so beyond the 2-week enterprise program that I've already discussed, we also have a Kickoff Plus package. This is available to anybody that has completed the 2-week Kickoff in Business program. We have 1-week courses, again, fully funded, available to you, 1-week courses in these 3 areas, honing in on and really kind of deeper diving into the key areas that we cover on Kickoff in Business that maybe someone would benefit from further support in that area. Those are digital promotion, money and finance, and innovation and growth. So we've launched 3 new standalone 1-week courses to support people specifically with those areas once they've completed the Kickoff in Business course. Those would all be made available to you for booking and registration once you do the Kickoff in Business program. I've got a little bit more detail here that I won't go into much detail on. It's all available publicly via the website, which hopefully by now you've had, obviously with the QR code or the link that I shared on screen, visibility on. But we have lots of satisfaction results available to view on our programs and what learners think. We have really, really positive response from our learners and what they say about not only our trainers, but the quality of delivery as well as the program itself and how it's designed to meet the needs of the community we support. We've also got testimonials as well in the form of videos accessible via our website. So if you're unsure again about the program and kind of how it can support you, check out that learner feedback and check out those testimonials, and that gives you a bit of an insight too. I'll finish by just putting the register screen on again, and I'll keep that live whilst we just answer any questions. But look forward to seeing you on a program soon. Okay, let's have a look at some questions then. So, discussion forum. Any questions? Oh, that's from Amanda. Gotcha. Sent to chat. That's fine. So we do have a live Q&A function, guys, that if you did have any questions, then feel free to stick something in there. I've got something from Atika. When does the kickoff course start? Absolutely. So the course starts every single Monday. So when you express interest, you won't be expressing interest for a specific week. Okay. So you will be expressing interest in the Kickoff in Business program as a whole. My IAG manager will give you guys a call and text and email as well, and basically give you the available dates that you can book onto. We normally work 1 to 3 weeks out from any given course. So if you were to express interest today, you could actually start the course on Monday next week. Well, it'd actually be Tuesday due to the bank holiday. But you can actually start with such a short period of time in between booking and registration. So we can operate in a really fast turnaround on that. Second question. I'm looking for funding support. Absolutely. Okay, so it's a huge area that that we cover on program. Remember, all of our courses are delivered by business owners, people that have been there and done that, kind of been in the same position as you. So we do quite a lot of detail around the funding options and availability. We talk about grants, funding, loan platforms, and whilst we don't have funding options ourselves outside of the support and guidance that we provide, we have a good network and understanding of what the access is to those things within your either local region or national access. So that kind of gives you a little bit of an insight there. We also have the money and finance 1-week bolt-on, where we can give people some more detail. How many hours is the course? Sorry to mention that. So it's a full-time 2-week commitment. Okay. We're talking being online from kind of 9 till 4-ish most days, but there are regular breaks and activities throughout the program.
Fantastic. Thanks very much for that, James. It's great to hear about what's on offer for people. Looks like a really good opportunity. That's fantastic. Atika, I noticed you mentioned about funding support. Just to add on to James's point, my colleague Natalie, who's going to be taking us through an introduction to the business support service, we can also guide you on funding as well. So I'll pop a link to our service in that question there for you if you wanted to make a direct inquiry afterwards. that's absolutely fine. So Natalie Black is one of our business support advisors, and she's going to be taking us through an introduction to what we can offer at the Business Support Service and the types of things that you can ask for guidance on. So I'll hand you over to Natalie. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Michelle. So hello everyone, my name's Natalie and I'm a business support advisor here at the Business Support Service. And as Michelle says, today I'm just going to give you a brief overview of who we are, what we do here, and how we can help anyone that might be thinking of starting a business. So let's start with who we are. So the Business Support Service is a free, government-funded information and signposting service operating across England. We work on behalf of the Department for Business and Trade, or DBT for short, and we operate across a multi-channel service. Here at the Business Support Service, we form a key element of the government's business support provision. So a little bit about what we do here now. So we help all businesses here at the Business Support Service, and that's from those thinking about starting a business through to those who are already established and trading. Our advisors are on hand to give general business support and to signpost information regarding both local and national resources and schemes to help businesses both start and grow. In terms of how we can help you, we cover a range of topics here at the Business Support Service, and these include, but are not exclusive to, conducting market research to aid with business planning and cash flow forecasting, the pros and cons of the different legal structures available for businesses, such as sole trader, limited company, and business partnership, for example. Signposting to government-backed and or government-funded business support schemes on both a local and national level, such as growth hubs and enterprise agencies. Exploring any funding options that might be available for businesses, including both grants and loans. Given reliable information and impartial advice so that businesses can make informed decisions that they need to move forward, and providing free and ongoing support in the form of in-depth discussions with a business support advisor as often as businesses need. So here at the Business Support Service, we can also give you general information and guidance on topics such as helping businesses understand their responsibilities and their tax obligations, highlighting any regulations or legislation that might be applicable to your business activities, providing information around the considerations that businesses need to make when employing staff, and this also includes information about apprenticeships and traineeships too, helping businesses understand the different types of insurance policies that are available, which ones might be mandatory for their business activities and which ones might be advantageous to explore in terms of providing some level of protection, and highlighting to businesses the different types of intellectual property that they could explore to protect their business name, their business logo, and or their invention, for example, and providing information around the considerations that businesses need to make when importing and or exporting. So I'm now going to move on and show you a couple of examples of how we've supported some recent customers that have contacted us within the startup stage of their business journeys. Starting with scenario one. So a health and wellness business contacted the Business Support Service looking for assistance with how to start trading. Through some initial questioning, it was identified that they needed general business startup support and guidance. Building on the information that they had disclosed, it was clear that they were unsure of how to register the business for tax purposes. Therefore, we had an in-depth discussion with them around choosing a legal structure. The health and wellness business had some strong social objectives. Therefore, the options available to social businesses, such as charitable companies, community interest companies, and charities, for example, was discussed at length. The importance of business planning and cash flow forecasting was also highlighted to the business, and templates were provided so that they could start creating working documents for themselves. Due to the nature of the business, insurance policies such as public liability insurance, product liability insurance, and professional indemnity insurance were explained, and particular attention was paid to how such could be advantageous. Finally, any government-backed or any government-funded support organisations for both traditional business support as well as support for social entrepreneurs was highlighted and signposted to on both a local and national level. Moving on to scenario 2. In this instance, an education and training provider contacted the business support service looking to start their own business for the first time. Through the initial conversation, it was identified that they needed general business startup support, some funding, and also some general legal advice. Having questioned around legal structures to gain an understanding of the business, comprehension, an in-depth discussion was had regarding how the business was going to register for tax purposes. And unlike the example in the previous scenario, this business didn't have any social objectives. Therefore, the more traditional legal structures such as sole trader and limited company was explored. The importance of business planning and cash flow forecasting was also highlighted to this business. And again, templates were provided so that they could start creating a working document. This business was then asked questions around how much funding they needed and what the funding was going to be used for. And this allowed for both local and national sources of government-backed funding to be signposted to. Due to the nature of the business, consideration was also paid to any funding available specifically for education and training providers. And this was covering opportunities through the Education and Skills Funding Agency, for example. Finally, it was brought to the attention of the business that they might need to pay consideration to both the legislation and the regulations that exist around DBS checking, safeguarding, and GDPR, for example, before commencing their business activities. To assist the business with exploring such, they were signposted to resources such as legal support and the Information Commissioner's Office for specialist support. To give support service process so that if you decide to contact us for help after today's webinar, you've got an understanding of how everything will work. So when you first contact the business support service, the initial advisor that you speak to will triage your business needs. They'll take some general information from you, such as your name, your address, and the nature of your business, and they'll use this to create a customer record on our systems. That advisor will provide you with any general information that they can that is relevant to your business query at that stage. If the advisor thinks that you'll benefit from some further support, they'll offer you the opportunity to have an appointment booked with a business support advisor. And if you take up the offer, such will be arranged. If you do go ahead with an appointment with a business support advisor, they will contact you either via telephone or via video link through Microsoft Teams at the agreed date and time of the appointment. They will carry out a full diagnostic of your business and will have an in-depth discussion with you in terms of what information and support they think that you need to progress. The business support advisor will provide you with general business support and information, and they will signpost you to any government-backed and government-funded local and national resources and schemes to assist. Further to this, they will summarise everything that they discuss with you via email, and in that email, they'll include for you an action plan of the steps that they think that you should consider based upon your discussions. If, having had your initial appointment, you think that you would benefit from more time with a business support advisor, the business support service is a free and an ongoing service. Therefore, follow-up appointments can be booked either at the time of having your initial appointment or can be booked by contacting us again at a later date. So, if after today's webinar you think that you would benefit from speaking to a business support advisor regarding your business plans, please don't hesitate to get in touch with us for further support. The ways in which you can contact us are shown on the screen now, and these include telephone, email, and social media. I'm going to leave these details on the screen for a further minute or two, and while I do so, I'd just like to thank you all for your time today and for taking the opportunity to learn about the business support service, who we are and what we do here. We look forward to hearing from you, to hearing about your business plans and business ideas, and most importantly, we look forward to supporting you with taking the first steps towards setting up your own business. Thank you.
And thank you also to you, James. So really appreciate you taking the time to go through the support that's available to people. We've picked up a number of questions here on the Q&A chat, but I'll just leave this open for a minute in case anybody has anything additional that they'd like to ask, and we can pick those up before we dial off. I should just say that you will be receiving an email after your attendance today with a recording of the session, and also information about how to get in touch with either KickOff in Business or Business Support Service if you wanted to make your own inquiries. So I think we're all done with questions now. So I'll just say thank you again and enjoy the rest of your week. All the best with your business. Thanks very much.
Thanks, guys.